what can you even say? Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, even Vermont was closer than it should have been. Are the American people really that sold on sleepy Joe Biden? I think the worst thing that we're going to have to deal with coming out of this is the media is going to be all over Joe. Now, they might play up the drama a little bit just for ratings, but Bernie never really had a shot at the majority. Especially, see, I was wrong. I really thought that more voters after their person dropped out it would have been more evenly distributed between Bernie and Biden. But you saw it in Texas that the early votes were overwhelmingly Bernie, and then the same day voter, the one who went out after their people dropped out, they went out and supported Biden, gave him a narrow victory in Texas. And it would have been a little foolish to assume that Bernie was going to win Texas. Like, Texas is like the avatar of the South, of like the conservative. And that might be changing, with the demographic shift, young people, and the increasingly brown community down there. But Bernie couldn't afford for this to be close. He needed, what he needed was for the fucking youth vote to come out for him. And they didn't do it. They let him down. They let us down. The young people, who's the country that we're leaving for them. I guess I'm still a young person, but are we doing such a shit job as a country teaching the young people like what it means to have civic duty, to not just be so self-interested with your Twitter and your Snapchat and your Instagram, and to actually see the world around you? Are we doing that bad of a job that they're willing to just let a senile old man go up against Donald Trump, who is just like a force of just like being a bully? And he's got a sense of humor, which is a fucking weapon in politics. To be able to, he's got thin skin, but at the same time, he's also got like a lot of weaponry in terms of just like his attitude towards people that don't like him. And it's not how anybody could think Joe Biden is the most electable person is just baffling to me. The black vote let us down. They went for Joe. It's not that big of a surprise, but this is just like a larger problem with the American electorate. Black or white, the American voter is a low information being. Joe Biden does not have the interests of an average person at heart. Black or white, just because he was Obama's guy, Obama wasn't great for the black community either. It was a great symbolic victory. It was an important moment to know that this country at least has the potential to move past the race of somebody, to elevate him to the highest office, not just in our country, but the highest, most powerful office in the world. The most influential person on the planet Earth was a black man from Chicago. And that was a great moment. But this is the problem that the Democrats have been having, particularly the establishment Democrats, where they think identity is a substitute for ideology. They think that, if a black person comes in and is doing the same neoliberal corporatist agenda, then it's better than if it was a white person. It's the same effect on people's lives. We'll see. All you can go off of is record. What people say doesn't matter. It's what they do. It's what they voted for. And Joe Biden is... Oh, wow! Democrat. Like, barely. People have no perspective on what world politics is actually like. Excuse me. If you can't tell, I've been drinking since last night because it is the only way that I don't break things is I drink things. That's how I cope. It's not a good coping mechanism, but we don't have much here. But this is a pretty right wing country. Not in terms of maybe culture or socially, but in terms of how we structure our economy. It's absolutely a conservative nation where we go out of our way to prop up the wealthy, who people that already have, we give more, and people who have nothing, we take away from. That is not a functioning nation. In any other industrialized, like, major country as Bernie says, he would be a moderate. His record on guns isn't the most liberal, and that's because he's got a very strong constituency of gun people in Vermont, and he represented his people in the gun arguments. Now, I don't know his exact history on that. That's a whole other issue, especially when it comes to whether people should be allowed to sue gun manufacturers. I don't know how I feel about that, because, I mean, a gun is made for destruction. That is what it's for. That is what it does. You can't really make a comparison of, like, can you sue a car manufacturer because somebody runs over a crowd of people? No. But the car wasn't made for running people over. But a gun was made for shooting. That's its function. It is a destructive, inherently destructive thing. People don't go to the shooting range because they like pushing buttons. They like watching holes get blasted a couple yards away. That's why they go. Because it's a destructive weapon and it makes you feel powerful. How much responsibility do gun manufacturers have for killings and mass shootings and murders? It's not something that I'm willing to make a judgment on because it's such a cloudy area of people that just make something should be responsible for what it inevitably does. It's kind of a strange argument to make. How many times does it need to be said that Bernie's agenda isn't that radical? The problem, I think, is one of many problems, many problems with the debate around American policy and the future of this country, is that when it comes to Bernie's agenda, people don't seem to realize that when you are going into a negotiation, which is what the president does, is they need to negotiate with the other side to get things done. You don't go into the negotiation having already given the farm away. You go in like, this is what I want. It's the extreme of the side that I am on, and then the other side comes in with their extreme agenda, right? And then you come to a consensus. You meet somewhere in the middle. Warren, Biden, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, they all gave the game away before the negotiation even started. Bernie's Medicare for all. That's where you start. If you end there, I would be personally shocked. Unless you get like the real, you get a Democratic Congress, the Democratic Senate, you somehow, get away from Mitch McConnell's iron grip on American legislation. Maybe you get it passed. We aren't in a place in this country where we get things done anymore. It's all, well, we pass a war budget, we get that done. We fill the coffers of many a defense contractor. We can't build roads in this country. We can't educate our children to the point where they can make a good judgment on who is and is not a good candidate for president and who can put up a fight against Donald Trump. Joe Biden he's I can't even be clever about it. He is a senile old man. He cannot string a sentence together. So the next debate is going to be the most vital moment, possibly, of the American 21st century since 9/11, because it is going to be a real moment. That sounds like a bit of hyperbole, but that's what this election really is. A time to decide what kind of nation we want to be. Every election, a lot of people say, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. I mean, Clinton Dole was not that big of an election. They were both the neoliberal corporatists. I don't know much about Bob Dole, so that might not be true. But, I mean, you got a Republican on one side and a neoliberal on the other. There's not much difference. But now we have, like, an objectively horrible person in Donald Trump, who's just, like, narcissistic. You know what Donald Trump. I'm not going to go into that. And on the other side, we have Bernie Sanders, who, say what you want about him, he wants to help people. He's not bullshitting us. He's not lying. He's not, he's not putting on a veneer to gain political favor. He is who he is. And when you vote for Joe Biden, you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice that, one, he's actually going to be some kind of progressive, and that's a question left to be answered. We'll come back to that. But two, you're also rolling the dice on whether he has a chance to defeat Donald Trump. But it's going back to what I was saying about you can only go off of somebody's record. Is Biden going to become more progressive if he wins the primary? Because usually it's the opposite. You start out on the fringes so that you can win the primary, and then you come back to the center for the general. But if they take this away from Bernie, that is a gigantic demographic that the Democratic Party has just alienated. They have told millions of young people and progressives that they are not wanted. That it's cute that we think that if we can spend $1 trillion a year on war, then we can instead, educate our people, give health care to those who need it, etc. They only ask how we can pay for it when it's something to help people. But when you're trying to pass a bill meant to kill people, nobody asks a question. So is Biden which way is he going to go if he wins this? Is he going to try and appeal to us who are hardcore for Bernie? Because as foolish as the Democratic establishment is for thinking that he is the face that can beat Trump, are they so stupid to think that the people who love Bernie are just going to fall in line and vote blue no matter who? Are they that stupid? They need to offer us something. Now, I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. Because what's the difference at this point, except for demeanor and like the optics of Trump being a national embarrassment? What's the real difference? Because this Congress has passed whatever Trump's wanted, really. Democrat or Republican, they're pushing it through. They're fast tracking his judges that are going to sit on the bench and affect American policy for decades. Conservative judges just dominating the country and open vacant seats that they would not let Obama fill. But who is Obama going to appoint? More neoliberals? It's a fucking mess. You gotta hope that Joe is going to try and appeal to the Bernie types and not just abandon us completely. But if they give him the nomination, that's a lot of people that either are going to sit out the election or just vote for somebody else. Personally, if it's not Bernie, I'm voting for Andrew Yang. Surprise, surprise. Because I cannot morally participate in a blatant rigging of an election. And I can't vote for Trump. And I can't not vote. So I'm going to vote my conscience. And that brings me to Andrew Yang. Now, the next debate is going to be the defining moment of this election, because now that the field is gone, you can't hide Biden anymore. And from what I've heard, this is just speculation, but Tulsi Gabbard, having won a delegate in American Samoa, I believe, may qualify. Sorry for the burping. She may qualify for the next debate. Now, Bernie, he's been doing this tactic of just like my friend, just like my friend, insert name. You know, people that have consistently voted against the interest of the working class, my friend, because he doesn't want to come off as a bully, I guess. I'm not sure what his strategy is, but Tulsi does not give a fuck. Now, I'd be surprised if she makes it to the debate stage. The DNC changed rules to get Bloomberg in. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed rules to keep Tulsi out. Personally, I wish Tulsi, during the debates that she did not participate in, would have simul-streamed and answered the questions and responded to people who were on the stage just in real time, being in another location. I think that would have been something worth seeing. And if she does make the debate stage, we can't be having her give these wooden performances anymore, because when it comes to Tulsi, the thing that's been holding her back more than anything is the lack of anger. But it's not for a lack of having anger. It's the lack of showing it. You can see that she is not happy with how things are. You can see it in her tweets. Her tweets are fucking vicious. Where's that in the interpersonal interactions? Where was that on the debate stage? Her greatest strength and her greatest weakness is just how measured she is. And she needs to let it fly. If she makes the debate stage, that's it. That's it for her. That is her chance. If she really cares about, pushing out the establishment neoliberal left and bringing in a real candidate for the American people who is going to fight tooth and nail for us. That's what I meant by the other candidates gave the farm away before the negotiation even started. Bernie's going to fight for every inch. And he might not get everything. He won't get everything. That's not how it works in this country, because we don't get anything done except for war budgets. But he would fight for us. And I guess the American people don't want someone who fights for us. They want to go back to the Obama years, when we were only spending $600 billion on war instead of almost $1 trillion. Like, I guess that's what the American people want. You can't make people want something. They have to come to it on their own, and they just aren't. They don't get it in this country. They don't get it. They're low information voters, and it's. I was kind of hoping to come into this with more energy, but I'm probably depressing you, because I'm a little depressed myself. I wanted to make a video last night, but I was worried that I would punch my computer screen. it's Bernie couldn't afford to be this close with Biden. If they go into the convention and Bernie isn't substantially ahead, if this debate doesn't take Biden out, it's going to be Biden. There's no question. They will, if Bernie has the plurality by 10%, 15%, they will give it to Biden. It has to be big, big numbers where there's no question that the American people want Bernie. And I don't see that happening because the American people clearly are not ready for somebody who wants to fight for them. Because they think that Biden is the best bet against Trump. How do you explain that? People just watching too much MSNBC, too much CNN, not putting in the effort. If you hate Trump that much, you'd think that you would put in a little more effort into finding out what the best option is. And if you think the best option is Joe Biden, then you are fucking stupid. There's no other way about it. You are not factoring in enough variables. You are disregarding information. You are voting on your gut and not with your brain. And I guess that's what democracy looks like. When you have this many people, it's hard to get everyone on the same page. And it takes a very unique personality to do that. The people who become president are never the ones who should. The people who go to Congress are rarely the ones who should. Just because there's like over 500 Congress people, like you're going to get a couple just by sheer, law of averages. A few Congress people are going to be good people who deserve to be there. But largely the people who run and win office are not the ones who should be there, because the people who should be in charge of stuff are too smart to put their neck out. It's you could call that cowardice. But sometimes it's the question of what's it worth to go through it and just like be smeared and fight these gigantic institutions that were made to self-sustain, that weren't made for change, and people who aren't made for change. What's the answer? There's just too many people. We were supposed to be hunter-gatherers in groups of 200 people where you all know each other, and that's how you sustain yourselves, is like you're in these small groups and you all know each other. That's the key, is the familiarity with one another and the comfort level. And the people in charge know everybody that they're in charge of. How many presidents have we had that have had real friends on our level, you and me? Or are they all just like the same groups going to the fucking Bilderberg meetings and having fucking blood orgies in the woods to the Illuminati music or whatever? Okay, I'm done bumming you out. So takeaways: the American people will never stop fucking up and voting against their interests. The next debate is going to be the defining moment of this campaign season. Oh, I didn't mention Bloomberg. Big surprise. He's going for Biden. What was the word? Endorses. That's the word. He endorsed Biden. All the moderates. You're not a moderate Democrat, Mike. You're fucking Republican. Like, Jesus Christ. Last note. Has there ever been a bigger waste of $500 million than Mike Bloomberg's failed vanity project? All the good that money could have done. And you know what? Bloomberg's going to be fine after that. That's the tragedy of his campaign, is he spent $500 million and he's not even going to miss it. Hopefully, next time I see you, we'll have some better news. And until then, Yang 2020.